You have an incredible healing system that nobody has taught you about, that nobody has told you how to activate, that nobody has educated you to help you understand how powerful it is. That's the point of all of this, is to help shine a massive spotlight in all of these areas and help people understand, man, you've got an incredible immune system. Man, you've got an incredible antidepressant system. Man, you've got an incredible weight loss system. Man, you've got an incredible balancing and equilibrium system available to you. This facility and faculty that is unbelievable, nonstop, all the time, ready to go, if you just simply know how to press the right buttons to get it to go.
The heavyweight detox champion of the world, Coffee! I will get the detox! Okay, today we are talking coffee enemas. Now, the reason why I'm starting off with with coffee enemas specifically is because they are so incredible what they do to the body, both at the physiological level as well as the emotional level, because they really affect the emotional seat of the body, of the mind, which is the limbic system, right in the center of your brain where the pineal gland is. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because the colon, to just start right off here, the colon generates a host of brain neurology. There's more neurology in the gut than there is in the entire spinal column. We have what's called a gut mind. And the gut mind is the instinct that calls upon you, say when you walk into a building or room and something's not right, something's funny, nobody said anything to you, nothing's actually happened, but you just have this funny feeling. Or you meet someone and you instantaneously fall in love with that person and just instantly have all these feelings for them, when there's been no time to develop those feelings, when there's been no time to know if you really should like that person. The gut mind is very strong like that because the gut mind knows. And the reason why the gut mind knows is that the gut mind is the nature mind. It's the natural instinctual mind that isn't tainted by the ideas in the mind. It isn't tainted by the preconceived notions that we're all indoctrinated with here in the West when it comes to healing the body, when it comes to understanding life and so forth. The reason why I bring up that whole brain chemistry thing is that a lot of people don't realize that when they're depressed, when they have sleep issues, or if you have a hard time calming the anxiety that you feel, these are all human experiences which center around the neurology, the chemistry that's going on in your brain, in your spinal column, in your gut. And so it's very important to detoxify that system, that limbic system, that neurological system, the gut-mind system, because when you do that, you clarify your ability to be able to lucidly go about your day-to-day. Your whole emotional system rests on that limbic system in your brain. And so the organ which is feeding that system, which is cleaning that system, which is providing for that system, okay, is the colon, okay? So it's extremely important then to have as clean of a colon as you possibly can. When you come across people that say are proud of, quote unquote, they only have to have a bowel movement every 2 or 3 days, what you instantaneously know is that person has putrefaction in their gut, in their colon. Because when you eat food and you're not excreting it within 24 hours, it sits in a 98-degree, 100% humidity, basically rainforest, which is in the inside of your colon. And you can imagine if you took a plate of eggs and chewed them up and then spit them out into a bowl, covered it up with a piece of saran wrap, and then put it out in the forest in 98 degrees, you can only imagine what that would smell like in 4 days and 3 days from doing that. That's exactly what's going on in the colon. Okay? Don't kid yourself in thinking that magically food just miraculously finds its way out eventually, and on the way, the body completely takes care of it. Don't kid yourself in assuming that. Okay, so it doesn't just magically take care of itself. The food will sit and it will fester and putrefy in the colon. Okay, now think about this. Food is sitting in your colon putrefying, and your colon is trying to generate your serotonin for your brain, for your neurochemistry. So a cesspool, essentially, is trying to provide the neurochemistry for a person who has all this putrefaction in their stomach because they're only having a bowel movement every 2 or 3 days. Okay, this is one of the reasons why people are getting cancer, because people don't know that. So one of the reasons I'm doing this is to bring simply about awareness so that you know, oh, it doesn't just magically take care of itself. I actually have to be proactive and take care of it. It's one of the beauties, again, of holistic medicine. It's a proactive system. So you can do coffee enemas, which are a proactive means of doing a variety of biological functions in your body. And I want to go over those with you. Okay. Now, you know that your colon, if you were to look at it now, I'm not an artist, so please, don't think that you're going to learn a whole lot from watching me draw anything. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to draw a little colon, which is similar to what you have in your body, okay? Okay, this is the anus. Okay. Now, these are muscle rings that happen on your colon. Now, you've seen pictures of a colon, right? And so you know that there are, the way that the colon moves food through the intestine is through a peristaltic pumping action. Now, peristaltic pumping is like if you were to take, if this were, say, a hose, and I fill it up with water, and I squeeze the top so that it's the water staying in there, and I squeeze here, and I squeeze here, and I squeeze here. What I'm doing is I'm moving the water up the hose against the gravity just by squeezing, okay? That's called a peristaltic pump. And as your food is in your colon, right? You have your food. These things will pinch and squeeze and push the food along your colon and out your colon, okay? That's called peristaltic pumping. Now, when you eat food, you need to be excreting that food within about 24 hours. It has to be moved through the body and evacuated. Well, over time, if you don't have good flow and say you're only having a bowel movement every 3 days and you're never taking probiotics or enzymes, what you get developing in the colon is called stagnancy. And stagnancy is disease. Just like when you see a lake that doesn't have any movement, eventually this brine or eventually algae begins to grow in it and it gets that film on the top. It's because it's stagnant. It's because there's no flow or movement. And what we need as human beings all the time is flow and movement. And when we don't have flow and movement in our lives, whether it's biologically, mentally, or spiritually, stagnancy develops. And when stagnancy develops, you get disease. So what happens is as your poop is going down your colon, these little muscle rings are squeezing it along the way. Remember I described the peristaltic pump? Okay, that's exactly what's happening in the colon. And the food is going like this. Well, guess what happens? Guess what happens when you don't have flow? Okay, what happens is you begin to get little pools of crap, literally, that form on the bottom of these fleshy portions of the colon. Are you ready for what happens? I'm not kidding. This is what happens. Over time, those pools increase higher and higher until eventually they connect to one another with literally mucus. And they connect to one another and they form a rope. I'm not kidding. And so what happens is, as you keep flushing the colon with this coffee, it begins to break down the strands, the tendrils of the mucus that have grown and attached to the side wall of your colon. This is what's in your colon. This is why when you have gas and like everyone has to leave the room because the stank is so bad, that's why you have putrefaction mucus ropes sitting in your colon right now. So what begins to happen is as that coffee goes in and out, in and out, in and out, day after day as you're doing these enemas, you are breaking down those strands. Well, what eventually happens is they no longer have any strands attached to your colon. So guess what happens? That bad boy finds itself straight out of the colon and straight down into the toilet. And let me tell you something, when that thing comes out of your body, not only do you feel it coming out, which is the weirdest sensation, but the
the smell, Jenny was upstairs when I passed mine, and she had to abandon the upstairs floor. That's how bad the smell was. And that was in my colon. That was in my colon. So you have to engage therapies like coffee enemas to begin to move the food out of the colon. There's some amazing things that happen when coffee enters the body through the rectum rather than through the mouth. And the first thing that needs to be understood is that whenever you take coffee through the mouth, it's going to go through the normal digestive process of your body, meaning it's going to be surrounded by acid with a pH of about 1.8 to 2.5 in your stomach. And that harms the delicate antioxidants and terpenes and basically chemistry that composes the food. And so when you eat coffee, when you drink coffee, there are antioxidants in coffee that are really good for you that you never realize or never metabolize because they're destroyed by the acid in the stomach. So when you take coffee in through the rectum, it bypasses all of that digestive process, and it also has an entirely different effect on the body. There is a vascular network at the base of the anus, at the bottom of the colon, which feeds directly to the liver. The liver is right here. If you were to look down at your chest, the liver is just underneath your ribs right in here, and it goes all the way down. It's an enormous organ, and it's just on the opposite side of your stomach, okay? In the liver, as it's filtering all of those red corpuscles, they are dropping off at the liver. It's like a way station. They're just dropping off at the liver all the detritus, the crap that the blood has picked up in the body. Because something has to clean it. It doesn't just magically happen, people. There's a real biology in you that does this stuff. So the liver, which has now been charged with caffeine, has a very interesting response. And here's a couple of things that it does. That caffeine softens the bile ducts, which have collected the detritus that the red corpuscles have dropped off. It softens those bile ducts and causes what is called a peristaltic pumping action. So that pumping action pumps out the bile. Okay, it's pumping out the bile, the pus that has been sitting in that liver, festering and putrefying, all that chemotherapy, all that crap that your blood has been filtering, begins to drain out. We are cleaning at this point. It drops down into the gallbladder, and if you don't have a gallbladder, it's okay. But it goes down into the gallbladder where it's further processed, and then it goes out of the gallbladder down into the small intestine. Now, a freaking medical miracle happens when it goes into the small intestine. When all of that bile drops into the small intestine, the intestine has a reaction to that, a biological reaction, and that is to generate glutathione S-transferase. 700% more than it normally does. And the reason it does that is because that bile is toxic. And the body recognizes that and sends in the troops, sends in the enzymes to go in there and protect the body. And guess what GST does? It kills cancer cells. It eats cancer cells. It is an enzyme that your body naturally makes that kills cancer. The glutathione enzymes are the most antioxidant enzymes that the body produces. And so the more of those that you can generate, the better off you're going to be. So when you have, every single time you do a coffee enema, when you have the glutathione S-transferase enzyme increasing 700% in the small intestine every single time you do a coffee enema, what you are doing is you are releasing en masse, biologically, naturally, biologically, through normal pharmacological triggers, you are releasing en masse all of these antioxidants and cancer-eating and cancer-killing compounds every time you do an enema. So at the Gerson Clinic, people that have stage 4 and stage 5 pancreatic cancer, they're getting 5 coffee enemas a day. And they're basically supercharging the body's natural immune system to heal. They are super antioxidant enzymes that your body naturally makes to fight disease and to fight oxidation. Oxidation is what kills everyone.
We are all rusting to death. And the idea is to do antioxidant therapies to slow and stop this aging, rusting process, this oxidating process that is killing you. So immediately you see right there, by doing a coffee enema, you are immediately releasing natural enzymes from the body which are going to fight cancer. And what's amazing is coffee enemas are called quackery by the Western medical system. It's called quackery when it actually develops enzymes in the body that actually eats cancer. Now, another thing that a coffee enema does, besides making the GST, is it's going to flush out these black robes. It's going to help rebuild the tissue in the colon. And coffee is actually a parasitic. It actually can kill the worms that are in the colon. It can actually kill the parasites that are in the colon because it's a natural parasitic. It also has very strong antioxidants in it, which then go out into the body to help clean up the free radicals. Listen to what I was doing before I got cancer, okay? This was my exercise regimen and food regimen, okay? I started my workout program. I was pretty lethargic before then. I lived a pretty a life of sedation, basically, before I started my workout program. But 8 years before I got cancer, I started a workout program. And how I initiated it was with the Body for Life program. And if anybody knows anything about the Body for Life program, it's one of the most intensive workout programs that exists. It has about a 95% failure rate because most people can't take the pressure that it is. I did 3 of those consecutively. I did 3 90-day Body for Life programs consecutively, and I did them to the full extent, just the way it's described, where you're running to the point of completely collapsing, you're lifting to the point where you can't lift anymore every single time, and you're doing this very intensely. I did that 3 times consecutively, nearly a year of Body for Life to get started. I stopped drinking all soda. I stopped drinking any energy drinks and stuff. I stopped drinking anything but basically water. That's all I drank, water. Not even tea, because tea oftentimes has artificial sweeteners which are toxic and sugar which is toxic. So I wasn't doing any of that. I was only drinking water. I was drinking a gallon of water a day, pure water, not the stuff that comes out of a tap, pure water every day. I was running 25 miles a week. I was lifting twice a week, and I'm not saying just lightly lifting, going into the gym and having a good time talking to my friends. I'm talking putting on the headphones and putting your nose down and intensely lifting for about 2 hours. Again, 8 years of doing this. I ate mostly organic food. I did eat at restaurants often, but I was not eating junk at the restaurants. I wasn't eating like a ton of desserts. I wasn't eating a bunch of fried food, things like that. I was eating healthy. I was ordering healthy, things like grilled chicken, things like grilled shrimp and so forth, or I should say grilled fish and so forth. Rice and not French fries and potato chips. I don't have a sweet tooth. I was taking some vitamins and minerals, but I wasn't taking any enzymes. I wasn't drinking apple cider vinegar, and I certainly wasn't doing coffee enemas. The bottom line is what I described to you, what I was doing physiologically to stay into shape, and I still got cancer. I still developed cancer. So if you think for one instant that you don't have toxins festering in your body, that you're somehow immune to what the rest of the world is susceptible to, you really need to rethink that, in my opinion.